Hello, and thank you for joining us. This video is brought to you by the Streaming Advisor. I'm Ryan Downey, the Streaming Advisor, and I'm going to tell you about the Roku Ultra. This is the new Roku Ultra as far as 2019. It's got the 4K HDR, and of course comes with the very nice JBL headphones. There's some other cool features about this product that we're going to talk about. So, first things first, we'll take a look at the device itself. It's the same size as the last couple of generations of Roku. It's got the flat, it'll fit under a TV, fit under a computer monitor, anything like that. It has a power port. It's got an HDMI port. You're going to want to make sure you have a high-speed HDMI cable as far as getting the best performance out of this, especially if you're going 4K. Has an SD card slot, a Ethernet jack so that you can get the highest, fastest internet at your home, and a USB port so that you can get media from USB drives. A lot of people like that. There's various USB-based channels that can allow you to watch a movie that you've got on a drive, something like that. It'll also allow you to connect up with hard drives. Here, there's a little extra button. And this extra button is really great because what it does is it finds your remote when it's lost. And that can kind of stop grumbling amongst families. There's no, where's the remote? I don't know. Blah, blah, blah. We've all been there. So that's cool. You'll see that this is a decent, you can't really tell exactly on camera, but this is a substantial, heavy enough item. And the bottom has a nice rubbery finish so that it kind of stays in place. It won't get yanked right off and slide off because of cords. Inside the box, you also get a little guide. This isn't an extensive guide. For the most part, it's things like, plug in the HDMI port, and plug the HDMI cord into your TV, and so on. What we will show you, though, is that it does give you instructions as far as how to set things up. Especially the important one is the new one, why do you need a credit card, and explains what you need the account for. Questions that people ask, why do I have to go online and set this up? Why do I need this and that and the other? So it's good, especially for new users, to be able to look that over. It also comes with some little stickers, Roku stickers, if you want to throw that on there. Apple's always done that, and I guess Roku's getting in on the game. The controller here is a new thing. The controllers are pretty similar. They've always been kind of the same. This is from my Hisense Roku-powered TV. But on the other hand, what you see that's different about these controllers, for instance, is the main issue, it's 1 and 2. These 1 and 2 buttons are there because you can now assign your favorite channels to a one-launch button. That means that besides what they already start you off with, if you want to start a video in Plex or something like that, you can just assign it to one of these, and there you go. Otherwise, it's the standard setup with the home and back. It has a power button so that you can control your TV's power, which is a super handy feature. On the side, you have volume buttons that will also control the volume on your TV once you have it set up, along with a mute button. You'll notice the microphone button here is for voice commands. Roku doesn't have voice commands like, show me the weather or the traffic or anything like that, but what it does is launch apps and find content. You have some playback remote control buttons, play, backwards and forwards. This button here will take you back like 10 seconds and actually can be defaulted to show you a replay of the dialogue in closed captioning, which is helpful if you're like, what did they say? And of course the little star button, which is like an end-all settings button. Other than that, there is a little headphone jack that's been a popular feature of Roku since the Roku XS. With the headphone jack, you can plug in the included headphones or anything else you need and hear what's going on the TV through the headphones. The box does come with batteries for the remote. Obviously, it comes with a power cord, because what in the world would you do if it didn't come with a power cord? Kind of goes without saying, I guess. And here are the aforementioned Jbl Earbuds. These are a higher quality earbud than Roku used to put out, and they've been working with JBL for a couple of generations now. They have a good sound. I mean, they're just earbuds. You know, they're not Beats by Dre or something like that, but they are good, solid, listening devices. It also comes with a little packet of different earpieces, so that if you need a different size or wear something out, you got it going. Families may be sharing it. Maybe you don't want everybody to use the same thing, shove them in their ears. But that is it. That's what you get out of the Roku Ultra, out of the box. It's set up so that you can already jump in with things like Disney Plus and the latest apps. And if you're wondering, should I update? Should I get the new Roku Ultra? If you've got, say, last year's Roku Ultra or even the Roku Ultra from a year ago, you probably don't need to worry about updating just yet. But on the other hand, if you have something like a Roku XS or a Roku One, maybe the first Roku stick, something like that, you're going to have to update at some point if you want to hold on to your current apps. Things like Netflix are leaving, or at least they're going to lose support on these platforms. And with the newest apps coming out, things like Disney Plus, Apple TV Plus, if you want to be able to access the newest thing, you probably want to make that upgrade. So take a look. The Roku Ultra is out at stores, and you can get it through Roku's website, Amazon, anywhere else. And we're now going to go in and show you what it looks like set up. Alright, so here we are at the Roku Ultra's homepage, and we're going to go through and just kind of take a look at the basics. If you've never used a Roku before, you'll notice that the menu in general is very simple. They have a nice vertical menu on the left side that allows you to see everything there is to see. The channels or apps are over on the right side. It doesn't start off with these things in place. You've got to add them. So, we put some things in place ahead of time. There's a lot of different features that you can work with, including a very good channel store. You see that it's broken down into multiple categories. One of Roku's best features is its channel store. The reason the channel store is so good on Roku compared to others is you see that it breaks things down, apps, games, and so on and so forth. And you typically don't see that. Lots of times you just see entertainment, news, things like that. It's got a very, very good search. The Roku Search is kind of set the standard for the industry. What we're doing here is we're looking for like a new channel. You want to add a new channel? You do it just like this. If someone says, oh, you really need to have Shudder, you type it in, you go to it, and now it's been added. On the other hand, once you get to the home screen, there is still a lot to work with. Featured free is something that Roku does that has content from multiple places, and everything on it can be watched for free. That's why it's called featured free. You'll notice up in the left-hand corner it shows you where these things are coming from, like, you see Fox Now, ABC. But what it does is there are TV channels that have their own apps, and what they do is they have content on it that is free. Some of it isn't free. But the things that are free, like that specific episode of House, or even whole seasons of things like Growing Pains, are available just from one click. So there's actually a whole lot out there that is viewable through featured free. Alright, so leaving that, we're going to take a look at the movie store, the Fandango Now movie store. This is something that comes pre-installed on the Roku, and it's basically a partnership between Roku and Fandango, the company that sells movie tickets and things like that online. They also have a video service. This is essentially the same sort of thing you see with others. If you're familiar with something like Google Play or the iTunes Store, it's a collection of movies and or TV shows, depending on which category you click on, and you can rent them or buy them. You see that it's broken down into multiple categories, including not on Netflix, which, I think we all know there's plenty of stuff not on Netflix at this point. But in general, it's just an option out there. If you don't want to have to spend too much money on things on the Roku, there's still plenty of free options on Roku. But the Fandango Now store is a nice option if you're just looking to jump in and buy something and it's there on the homepage. We're going to show you how to remove it if you would choose to do something like that. But what we're looking at here is the Roku Search, the content and people search. And we're going to show you something really cool here. We're going to look for Tom Hanks, someone who's been acting for years and years and years. Of course, it's not spelled with an O. I've got to fix that. So, boom, all right. And then we're going to go to Hanks. The Roku, people and director search is really excellent because you can look for anything from Tom Hanks to Steven Spielberg or so on. And what it does is it lists every single movie he has done. And what you do is you select a movie, and then it'll show you where you can watch it on Roku. If it isn't available on Roku, you can add it to something like the Roku feed. It just gives you an option to follow it. So we're going to go down to something and see what we can find and show you how this works. I'm going to look at, just choose something. I'm going to go to the post, and you see that the post is only available to subscribe to. That's from some service. On the other hand, this California typewriter has a free option and multiple rental options. I can't imagine why you would rent it if you could watch it for free, other than to maybe miss out on a couple of commercials, which of course is your choice. But we're going to show you what happens if you choose Tubi, for instance. The Roku adds Tubi onto the lineup, and it launches into the program that you selected. Tubi is an ad-supported thing, so we're going to skip that ad and just show you that you can see that it's the California typewriter. It doesn't launch into just the app in general. It doesn't launch into anything else. It goes to where you want it. As you back up, you see that you're still in Tubi. So if you exit, though, it goes back to where you were. So you can continue your search for Tom Hanks material. So that's just a really cool way to find content. What we're going to do next is look at the settings and show you how easy it is to find out how things are put together. For instance, network is very easy to set up. This is what connects you to the internet in the first place. So if you need to move your Roku and set it up again, you can get to it in just a couple of clicks. Sometimes you have to replace a remote. There's a start, you can start right from the top. It says pair a new device. It makes it obvious, and you can even see how much battery power your current remote has. This will show you information on finding the remote, which is pressing the button that we showed you in the opening. And from here you can choose what it's going to sound like when you use it. We use the Game of Thrones song, and I'd like to show you how that sounds, but I think it would be a copyright violation. From here, we're going to back out of this and show you some other things, because there is a lot to see in this. Themes. What's a theme? Themes are what this looks like. You notice the background is purple, but it doesn't have to be. You can have any of these different looks for your Roku. So it gives people a chance to personalize it in a way that you can't on a lot of platforms. This is cool. You can find your favorites. And it has a lot of free themes. This thing that says enabled featured themes means that when it's Christmas time, you'll have a Christmas theme. When it's Father's Day, you'll have a Father's Day theme. Things like that. Screensavers are just like on your computer. You can choose different things that are going to pop up after your TV hasn't been in use for a couple of minutes. You can set it for how long. I love that you can't afford this screensaver. I really wonder if it will charge you $400 for it. But as it is, that is the screensavers. Some of them cost money, some of them are free. Again, if you move your Roku to a different TV that has maybe more powerful, display options, you can change it there. But what we're going to look at in a little more depth is accessibility. It looks like Roku wants to make sure that as wide an audience as possible can access this. And so it has a number of ways for you to see and hear the content. Here we're looking at the captions. You can set up multiple caption styles. We'll show you that you can set up multiple caption sizes, colors. And that's great for people with various visual problems. You notice a lot of these are very similar, but I expect that if you've got certain needs, you'd appreciate exactly what you can do here. I like the sizes is really helpful. It's very straightforward. You can tell that it's small and extra small and things like that. And you'd be surprised at how much people use captions when they're not, deaf, just because it's helpful at night or something like that. So you have multiple colors. The opacity is sort of like what it looks like in the box. I like having the different background colors. And that's nice because the colors make a big difference in the viewing experience of whoever is watching this. So if you want something other than the standard black and white, you got it. I think that would be good for someone who is colorblind, something like that. Now this audio guide is very important. What this allows you to do is set up a text-to-speech sort of thing that will follow along where you are in a menu. This is something that you don't find everywhere, and it's very helpful. You can even launch it by just tapping the little star button. People have turned it on accidentally and been like, why is my Roku talking to me? But I think that that's a really cool setup there. The audio and menu volume is, just the little clicky sounds that it makes when you're on the screen. We can turn it off just so we can avoid that. And if you're setting up a set of speakers or something like that, you can figure out what you're doing down here. It has your HDMI settings, which is really important. Now from the home screen menu here, we were telling you that you could hide the things that are extra there. So we're going to take feature free and the Fandango store off and show you sort of how it looks cleaned up. Payment method, we're not going to get too far into that. Now under privacy, you can look at what is going on with your advertising. They have advertising and they like to know what are people looking at, so that they can sell it to the ads, but you can limit it if you choose to. As well as your microphone settings. If you're, worried about privacy, you can tell it not to allow channels to access the microphone, things like that. Help. They encourage you to look at their Roku Tips and Tricks channel. That's a new one. There's some videos that show you how to fix various problems. And then you've got the system that shows you just the basics. Screen mirroring is something that I've had success and problems with. You can usually access screen mirroring with a PC, but it doesn't work with Macs. Now, this is a very, very important section. Here, where you have the guest mode, You can set up a guest mode if you've got a Roku in a separate room that obviously you have guests, hanging out in. You can set up a guest mode so that they have to put in their own information so they don't come in and muck up your Netflix. And a cool sort of turnkey method they've got here is on the factory reset. You notice it has to provide you a code. Please enter the code. That means that you don't accidentally reset your whole Roku by clicking through a menu too quickly. You have to say, I want to do it, and type in a code. So in general, this is all set up pretty easy to follow. I think that the things are easy enough to find. And if you want to spend some time reading on a video player, man, they've got plenty for you to read here in the third-party licenses section. Now, this is a video player, so it's time to really talk about apps here. And what we're going to do is show you Netflix. Everybody knows Netflix. But the important thing about this player is that it supports Netflix. There's been a lot of interest in whether Netflix was going to work on this Roku or that Roku or this TV. This has the modern version of Netflix that allows you to set up multiple profiles, go through and choose, what you want it to look like. And it has lots of choices. And gosh, where's Kevin Spacey? Wasn't he the star of House of Cards? Just kidding. So, as we go through, you'll see you've got lots of different looks that you can do with your Netflix on the Roku. You can choose language that it's going to play in, which is important for a lot of folks that aren't just necessarily defaulting to America. And when you go in, you'll see that it is the modern Netflix interface that you would expect to find on a new thing. It's got the menu on the left side. It does the movie previews, if you let it set long enough, say it pops right in. But, this is the Netflix that Netflix wants you to have. They're in a process of dropping support for older things. Also, you can get the latest version of Hulu. This version of Hulu will allow you to use live TV if you sign up for it. Again, you have the multiple profiles. If you're not familiar with Hulu at this point, it is a service that allows you to watch TV shows and movies, including things that are, have recently aired, like within 18 to 24 hours of airing. Now, this Roku model will do 4K, and sometimes it can be difficult to find the content that is actually 4K capable. With all the apps, there's so many things out there, but Roku has a channel called 4K Spotlight. And what 4K Spotlight does is it puts the 4K content that is available across apps. You see, Spartacus, those are not from the same thing. If you click on something from here, you'll know that you're going to get to see it in the video format for your fancy new 4K TV. Wish Dirty Dancing was free. That was the big one when I was in college. Man. Now what we're going to do is press one of our programmable buttons. We set it up to launch Plex, so you'll see, boom, it launches right in without us having to go up to the Plex channel. Quick launch buttons are really cool parts of the Roku Ultra. And if you're unfamiliar with Plex, Plex is one of my favorite apps. It always has been. Because what it allows you to do is organize both your information, like your movies, any digital music you have, into easy to search libraries. So that when you get those DVDs with the digital videos and things like that, you can save them to a server and then access them. It also has web-based shows, podcasts, access to music services, and it's all in one app. You can even share other people's servers if you like. If you have a friend that has a movie collection and they're like, hey, you ought to check this out. You can. Here we're looking at the news section, which is really cool because it allows you to break things down by category. But Plex is available on Roku and other platforms, but I've always liked the way Roku does it. Another little setup that we have is the Disney Plus. We've got that as a special launch button. Disney Plus is the hot app of the moment. Now, did you notice those plus marks? This is a shortcut to the channel store. So while you can access the channel store, via the menu, you can go into the channel store just by clicking on the little icon that's a plus, which makes sense because it's like adding. And I'm just pointing out, Roku has this whole section of cable alternatives. This is good for the cord cutters. It has everything in one place. I suggested that one time in a column, so I'm going to take credit for that. It also has a TV off option. You can click on this and it will actually turn off your TV if you've got it set so that it controls your TV. I don't, so you see that it says it won't turn it off. I do that for demonstration purposes because otherwise it would control way too many different things while I was trying to use the remote. But that is what you get from the Roku Ultra. It's a very powerful, very fast, 4K HDR capable streaming device, and I hope you find it interesting. If you like this video, please subscribe, and as always, stream on, my friends.